Welcome, YouTube friends and family, to today's edition of the Wellness Homesteader. So, are you suffering from dry winter skin? I know I am. So I thought I would bring you a couple easy recipes that you can do at home and help you out with your dry winter skin. So, as the disclaimer, although I am a nurse, I am not a doctor. So if you have a skin condition that doesn't respond to conventional treatments, that looks infected, that you cannot get resolved in a relatively short amount of time, please see your physician. So don't try to over self-treat at home. But today I thought I would share two products that I like to make during the winter months. Now, a few of you have asked me when I'm going to start back up with my soap offering, and I'm just going to be straight up honest with y'all. Things have been so crazy right now with my mom and trying to get things arranged and moved. I don't have an answer to that question, but I will let you know. So let's talk a little bit about some common skin conditions that maybe your physician has told you that you have or that you suspect you have. So the first, and by far the most common, is eczema. So another name for eczema is atopic dermatitis, which really just means, for some unknown reason, your skin is irritated. So it is intensely, intensely itchy. That's really the discernment between eczema and psoriasis. Eczema is almost always more itchy. It may be crusty, it may bleed, it may ooze, you may have cracked skin, you may have some scaling, and you may notice that it's over areas that your clothes rub, like your elbows when you're wearing long sleeves in the winter, or maybe even the bends of your knees if you're wearing blue jeans. Psoriasis, on the other hand, is a type of autoimmune disease. And as you all know, not only do I have psoriasis, I have psoriatic arthritis. So psoriasis, left untreated for many years, they now know can cause an arthritic condition in joints where you've had bad psoriasis outbreaks. So the difference in the symptoms between the two, psoriasis itches, but it stings. Some people say it's almost like a fire ant biting you. I've never really had that sensation, but it's extremely uncomfortable, painful. What you will notice, even though it may be red, is that the patches of psoriasis are raised and they have silvery scales. So people like myself with psoriasis can, in the areas they have psoriasis, produce skin cells at 7 times the normal rate. So you get that buildup of skin, which is itchy, and then when you flake it off, it's very raw underneath. So if you think you have eczema or psoriasis based on those symptoms and not simply dry skin, I want to encourage you to talk to your physician before you go off on a treatment regime on your own. If you are just suffering from dry winter skin, which I think pretty much everyone that lives in a colder climate has problems with at one time or another, there are some good ways to combat that. So I do have some talking notes. You know me and my talking notes. So here's some suggestions for you. Some of these are really common sense, guys, but I think it's good to be able to check off everything on this list to improve your dry skin condition. So the first thing is, anytime you wash, whether you're showering, bathing, or just washing your face, moisturize right away so you can actually lock in some of that liquid moisture on your damp skin and help to rehydrate your surface skin cells. Number 2, sunscreen. We all know that sun is very damaging to our skin, but it's not something that we think about a lot in the winter. I know a couple months ago, we had 40-mile-an-hour winds, and I had windburn and sunburn, and I am very fair-skinned, but I just didn't think about applying sunscreen before I was out in the elements, so don't forget your sunscreen. Consider an overnight treatment, so a very rich cream, something like what we're going to be making here shortly, that you would apply thickly and leave on overnight to help rehydrate those skin cells. You may need to change your skincare routine. So in the summer, we're perspiring more, our skin naturally produces more oils, so we may not suffer from dry skin. So maybe we're using products that are a little too drying for dry winter conditions. The next item, Humidify. So, anybody know what percent humidity is really best for your skin? You know, I'm in the Midwest. Never understood how Ohio's in the Midwest, but it is. So we have very, very humid summers. But in the winter, we're indoors with the heat running. My heat just cut on right now. And my thermostat will tell me what percentage humidity my home is. So a good percentage is 60%. On a day like today, I just checked, my humidity is 40%. So you can have a humidifier. You can use simple things like having some water over your register vents, maybe having simmering water on your stove, or if you have a wood stove, also having open kettles of water. I just want to caution you about children and pets getting into trouble with the water, and make sure you keep it fresh and that you don't allow that to become stagnant and grow mold or mildew. So if you can turn your heat down and be a little less comfortable, it is going to, in effect, raise the humidity in your house, but also stop some of that surface drying. And that kind of goes for our baths and showers as well. You know, nothing feels better on a very frosty winter day than a long hot shower, but you're actually pulling the moisture right out of your skin and making your dry skin problem actually worse. Next is go easy on the scrubs and exfoliants. So let's think about this for a minute. Your skin is dry, your feet are dry, your hands are dry, your lips are dry, and you want to scrub off that dry skin. Over exfoliating can cause irritation and actually expose new tender skin and make your dry skin problem worse. So go very easy on the mechanical exfoliation like sugar or salt scrub, and maybe consider using something like a glycolic acid or something that naturally helps divest you of unneeded skin cells without being harsh to your skin. Another good idea, occlusives. So that is what we're going to focus on today. And you might be like, occlusives, what does that mean? So it's things like shea butter, cocoa butter, rosehip oil, jojoba oil. I would encourage you not to use petroleum-based products like Vaseline. I don't want to put petrochemicals on my skin when there's many other things that will do a really great job to put a barrier on your skin. Increase your fluids that you're drinking. Now I can say, y'all know me and my sippy cup. I drink tons and tons and tons of water. It's not unusual that I go through a gallon of water a day, but don't forget we are losing water through our skin. So you definitely want to keep hydrated. Just because we're not hot and sweating out in the summer sun does not mean that we don't lose water. You lose water just straight up through your respirations. Increase your antioxidants and omega-3s. Always check with your physician before adding any vitamins or doing a major change in your diet. And then finally, and I'm horrible for this, gloves. So sometimes I'm ashamed of my hands. You can see they're quite inflamed. Part of this is arthritis, but putting that barrier on your hands will prevent that wind, if you're, stopping to pump gas in your car, from just sucking all of the moisture out of the surface layers of your skin. So what really causes dry skin in the winter? Well, it's cold air, low humidity, harsh winter winds. Those are kind of the trifecta that causes it. So what are we going to do about it? Well, I am going to show you how to make a very easy lotion that's more like a winter miracle. So stay tuned. And I will mention, if you hear a funny noise in the background, Frankie is sound asleep on the register vent right here, snoring away. So please pardon Frankie. He does snore. So the first thing I'm going to do is put on some gloves. And this batch is just for me, but I still like to use a good clean technique. My hands are clean. Wow, these are brand new gloves, so they're kind of tight. So there's lots of different combinations, but this one I have found, even though it is a little bit on the greasy side, really does the trick. When my hands are like this, if I will grease up at night, especially hands and feet, you can wear gloves if you want to bed. That never works out for me, but socks over your feet so you don't get your sheets greasy. You will be amazed in the morning. So one thing I do like about this recipe is you don't have to have a scale. So you can do some guesstimating. So the first thing I am going to add is shea butter. So this is ultra refined. It is the white. True shea butter that is not refined is like a golden yellow color. And oh, these spam calls. Y'all get a lot of spam calls? Me, I'll just let it go to voicemail. So we need 1 cup of shea butter, or 8 ounces. So here we go. I am going to have just enough. I'm finding I need to order some supplies. All right. To that, we're going to add 1/2 cup of the organic Great Value coconut oil, or 4 ounces. So you can do it by scale. And guys, my coconut oil is super hard because it's 62 degrees in here. In the summer, it's so much easier to dip, but with my heating bills as they are, I'm not turning up the heat. And you could just simply measure out 1/2 cup in a measuring cup. And I'm just putting this into a glass measuring cup. This one happens to be an Anchor Hocking from Walmart that I only use for Bath and Body product making. I hope y'all can hear Frankie. He is like really snoring. I had to get extremely stern with that little fella last night because he decided at 1:30 that it was time for play and that my mom should get up right away because it was urgent. All right. So we've got 1 cup of shea, 1/2 cup of coconut, and now we are going to do 1/2 cup of almond oil. And here's one of the beauties of this. If you run a little short of almond oil, jojoba works really well too. You can also use rice bran. So let me pause you for just a moment. I'm going to get another bottle. So for the remainder of my 1/2 cup, I'm going to use the organic jojoba oil. All right, and because I am going to be putting this into a jar that I'll be dipping into, I like to add vitamin E oil. It does act as a natural preservative. So I'm going to put, and this is super thick. I may have to take the whole lid off. Oh, yeah, because it's still sealed. doggone, guys, you know I can't have everything out. That would be too easy, wouldn't it? All right. So about a tablespoon. Now, anytime you want to add scent to a moisturizer, you know, think essential oils as well, but make sure you're using it in a safe amount for your skin. So for this recipe, I will be adding about 0.2 ounces, and I am going to use a fragrance oil. I am not going to use an essential oil because this is for me. This is called Jasmine Dreams. It is from Brambleberry. It is my absolute favorite scent. If scent bothers you or irritates your skin, you don't have to put anything in it. Other soothing items, lavender, chamomile, those are good ones to add as well. So I'm going to pop this in the microwave. I am going to let it melt down, and I'll bring you back to show you what it looks like. All right, so it took about 2 minutes, and I do it in like 30-second increments in the microwave, stirred in between. You could also do it over a low heat on the stove as well. Now I'm going to start whipping this to cool it down and also incorporate all those rich ingredients so it comes together. So let me show you what that looks like. So since you've all seen a mixer run before, let me just show you quickly. I'm going to go this way. You see how it's lightened up a bit in color. It's still pretty warm. I'm going to continue to beat this until it's more creamy and a lighter color. Because we used jojoba, it is going to be a little bit yellow, not white like the Shea Butter. Once it cools down and starts to thicken, I am going to add my fragrance oil. So again, word of caution, if you're using essential oil or fragrance oil, make sure you follow the recommended amounts. And again, this was 0.2 ounces for this particular fragrance oil. So I'm going to keep whipping. In the meantime, over here, I have a couple jars, and what I like to do is spray them well and let them air dry, please excuse my label, with 91% rubbing alcohol. That way, if there's any microorganisms in the jar, although it's brand new, it really decreases the risk of contamination. So I'm going to keep whipping, and I'll bring you back when we have some fluffy, creamy looking lotion. Stay tuned. All right, guys, so we have some beautiful creamy lotion, and this will solidify a little bit more as it cools. I actually popped it in the freezer for like 5 minutes, then I would stir, pop it in the freezer, then I would stir. Just realized I left my sweater on. It's cold in this house. So it will be more of a consistency like that. So I'm going to do one final whip to get all of the solidified pieces off the side. I'm going to jar it up. And then, guys, I'm going to share with you one of my super top secret recipes. So this is Soothing Oats and Honey Bath Bomb. So if you ever remember the old-timey remedy of taking a bath with oatmeal or colloidal oats, which is just chopped up oats, this relies on that principle, and it smells amazing, and it is a really good moisturizing, soothing bath bomb. So let me get this jarred up, clean up my mess, and we're gonna get to making some bath bombs. Okay, guys, look how beautiful our lotion has set up. It's nice and thick, if you can see. Let me show you this way. Creamy, beautiful, smells amazing. So, dry skin no more. So, bath bombs. There's a lot of different ways to make bath bombs. I am going to share a recipe that I developed. I make no claims or guarantees. Do your own research. So in this bowl, I have 4 cups of baking soda and 2 cups of citric acid. So let me show you. I just use regular old Millard or Milliard, no fragrance, additives, or dyes, and then just like Great Value brand baking soda. In this cup, I have 4 ounces of cocoa butter. That does not look like 4 ounces, guys. Let's double check this. It's because it's not 4 ounces. So let me tell y'all, it's been kind of a crazy day today, just with some things going on with my mom. So please pardon my craziness. All right. So this is Anthony's organic cocoa butter wafers, and of course body safe and also edible. So we'll set that aside. Now in this cup, I have added 0.7 ounces of oats, milk, and honey fragrance oil. And I choose to add 0.6 ounces of polysorbate 80, which is an emulsifier. So it will help the liquids and fats bind together so that you get a nice, hard, usable bath bomb that won't hopefully just fall apart. To that, we are going to add 1 ounce of honey. And this is honey from Pfeiffer Orchard. It is raw and it is local. And honey is very good for the skin. I'm just measuring carefully here. All right. Now, the next thing we're going to do, that's our measurements, is I have in, oops, not even showing you here, in my little handy chopper. It's just a little, like a mini food processor. I have placed 1 ounce of oats, and I'm going to grind that until it's very fine, like an oat flour. Now you may be wondering, I don't know if I want to put oats down my drain. There's so little oats in each of the bath bombs because this makes a lot. I have never had a problem with it. So why would you add colloidal oats? Oats are very, very soothing and really good for dry, itchy skin. So I'm just going to put that in and mix this up really well. So the next step is going to be to melt that cocoa butter to a liquid form. We'll then add our other liquids, our fragrance oil, our polysorbate 80, and our honey to it. And then we will begin mixing and packing this into our bath bomb molds. So let me show you what I'm going to use. So these you can order from any bath and body product supply company. You can probably get them on Amazon. They snap together, so you pack them really, really tightly. Take the lid off. I put them in a cupcake holder so that they can get dry, and it does take a couple days for those to dry before you can remove them fully from the mold. And then I shrink wrap mine. So let me get this cocoa butter melted, and I will bring you back when we start mixing everything together. We'll be putting on gloves. Word of caution, guys, even if you're making these only for yourself, citric acid is very, very hard on your nails, and it will eat your nail polish off. It also dries out your hands and nails, so definitely want to wear gloves for this part. It doesn't dry out your skin when you're using it in the preparation, but it does affect your fingernails, so stay tuned. All right, well, we have our melted cocoa butter. I've added the honey fragrance oil, and if you do not want to use polysorbate 80, you do not have to. I have made it both ways. I have also put goat's milk, powdered goat's milk in this for an added soothing, and it does come out very nice. Just, you know, take out as much of the baking soda as you're going to put in goat's milk, and I never use more than like 1/8 of a cup. All right, I'm going to start adding this, and you do want to stir while you add. What you don't want to happen is you don't want to activate your citric acid so that it starts to foam. You want it to wait until it hits the water. So it should not foam because we are using an oil versus a water, but I still like to add it small amounts at a time. And once I do kind of a coarse mix, then we'll get in there with our hands. I think one of the secrets to making bath bombs, if you've never made them before, don't get discouraged if your first ones fall apart or too dry or too wet. There's definitely kind of a sweet spot, and if they are too dry, they will just crumble when you try to mold them, and if they are too wet, it really doesn't hurt anything as long as they're too wet with oil. It's just they don't float as nicely. I will also tell you, because this is a cocoa butter, your bathtub may be a little slick. So if you decide to make these and package them for resale or gifting, I would put a caution on the label. Tub may be slippery. All those fun things you have to do when you're doing resale. So it's been a little minute since I've made bath bombs. For a while they were extremely popular, and then that kind of went by the wayside, and there was a lot of bath salts, not the kind you snort, guys, like with the Epsom salts and pink Himalayan salt, that kind of a bath salt that you put into a tea bag type thing. And let me grab this thinner spatula. You do want to get every bit of your liquid out. And guys, when I am washing these dishes, I will fill anything that's had like cocoa butter or a heavy oil like that in it, or a solid fat in it. I will fill it with boiling water, take it outside and dump it rather than to go down the drain with it. Okay, so this looks like an awful mess, right? But just wait. You shouldn't pull the whole spatula off. I like the ones that are one pieces so much better, but that's not what I grabbed. Okay, now you want to get in there with your hands. And the consistency that you're looking for is kind of a wet sand, but you want it to still hold your shape. Now, because that cocoa butter was liquid, we melted it, and now it's cooling down, it's going to start to solidify. So you need to make sure you scrape the bowl well with your hands. And I've never found a good way to do it except with my hands. So this is going to make a pretty good sized batch. You do want to make sure you get clear to the bottom and turn it over so that it's evenly wet. So now you see this is holding its shape pretty well. Still a little fragile. So if it feels too dry, it's very dependent, much like bread, on the humidity in your house. So what I would do is just melt a little bit more of your cocoa butter. And this almost feels like it could use just a dibble more. And a dibble is a scientific measurement. Yeah, I'm gonna just melt a couple more wafers. Let me mix a little more. It is kind of hard on your hands, I will say that. Okay, let's try molding. So what I've done here is I just put a couple oats in the bottom of each one of my plastic containers for looking. The key here is you have to pack it super tight. If you don't pack it tight, when you unmold it, they will simply fall apart. And here's a little tip. If that happens and you're just making them for yourself, guys, they work just fine in pieces. Now, you want to mold up beyond the half sphere, because that is the part that's going to get compressed when we do the other half and twist it together. You do want to keep that rim where it snaps together as clear as you can. If you don't, it will end up interfering with the seal of the two halves of the balls together. So I press that in really, really tightly. Then put some loose mix, and then you're just, oh my goodness, did I pick up the wrong one? I did. I did two bottoms. Okay, that's okay. We'll just do a top, same way. So this is kind of labor intensive on your hands. But guys, let me tell you, it is so worth it. And if you could smell in here, goat's milk, oats, and honey is my #1 selling soap. And it does smell really good. Okay, so I am just going to press these together really tightly. I'm gonna go ahead and pull off the top, set that aside, and we will let these cure. So I'm gonna keep working here, and I will bring you back and let you know how many this batch made. We're all finished here. I made 7 very large bath bombs. So this is what it will look like once it's dried and completely out of the mold. And I got a little bit over 16 ounces of the Winter Miracle body cream. So drop me a comment below. Are these recipes that you might give a try to? I'm really interested to hear your thoughts. Today is actually, wait for it, Thursday. So tomorrow we'll be taking my mom to the doctor and also a tour of the assisted living. So I'm trying to get a little bit ahead. Again, remember, if I drop off, I've just got a lot going on, and I'll try to put a note in the community tab, but I'm going to try to keep up, guys. I really appreciate your time today. If you haven't already, I'd appreciate it if you'd go ahead and smash that like button. If you know someone who suffers with dry winter skin, share my video. It really helps me out, and I do appreciate it. And as always, be healthy, be well, be blessed, and I'll see y'all very soon. Take care.